All right, well, Coach, do you think the break was good for your team?
Yeah, I really do. I'm really encouraged by what we had over break. I've always said this. You guys have heard me say this now for 7 Christmas. But Mr. Ivy used to say, this is when teams get better. This is when you get a chance to get better. And we had a chance to practice, which, you know, you guys look at the schedule. We really haven't had a chance to practice. And what we've done is we've made a couple of changes offensively, a couple of wrinkles that we feel like that will help us. And we tried to get better defensively, which I think we are. And we really put an emphasis, more so than anything, about how we guard and how we've been turning the ball over. Our stats are pretty good offensively, to be honest, but defensively they need to get better. And I think a lot of our defensive woes come with us turning the ball over. And we've done a good job of that over the break. I'm really anxious to see how we play Wednesday night, how we incorporate what we've done. And we've gone twice a day, every day, and I think it's going to help us. We'll see.
Has Teak been what you kind of expected? First 13 games?
Yeah, you know, to be honest, I told you guys, I think I told Marv at Media Day, he's never going to be the Teak that we used to know. I expected more coming back for Christmas, but the sprained ankle threw as a curveball on the last, the last half. Winthrop, he hasn't practiced. And I don't think he'll play tomorrow night. Much less if he does, he'll play very limited minutes. But he has not practiced all break, and I shouldn't say all break. I mean, he did some 5 versus 0 no contact stuff, but that certainly wasn't what I expected. But his knees are not bothering him. He feels good about his knees, and not now. It's just a high ankle sprain, and we know how those can be.
Defensively, I noticed in the game against Winthrop, their guys were like this, within a few inches of us with their arm out. Our guys were back a lot further, which is better for defending the 3, obviously. It's not a trick question, but I think that obviously
well, Marv,
shot a lot of 3s.
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, that's what they're known for. We struggle against 5 men that can shoot 3s.
So that was more than how we played our defense on 3s.
Well, I don't think, we went back and looked at we analyzed all 15 threes.
Yeah.
All 15 threes, analyzed every one of them. And in every case, there was either a turnover that created it, or we didn't communicate, or we just flat out lost our man. So it wasn't anything that we were doing teaching-wise other than we just didn't communicate.
How many were transition? Quite a few.
Yeah, there were quite a few in transition, quite a few. And but when the big kid makes, I think he made 6, is that right?
6,
yeah.
Made 6 threes on KP. And you look back, you look at the games where we've struggled. Perkins for Buffalo, last year against SEMO with the kid that transferred to Creighton. I don't remember his name, but those guys have all been a thorn in our side. Consequently, now that's what we worked on over break. What do we do when we play against guys that have 5 men that can shoot 3s? And we're getting ready to play a team.
As everybody shoots 3s.
Everybody shoots 3s.
Coach Reese mentioned that in his observation on radio that part of the problems with the 5-man shooting was the natural instinct for our big guys is to go down and guard the paint. Well, their guy went out to the line. Is that what happened?
I think it's where we're headed. I think it's modern day basketball. I think the days of big guys that play with their back to the basket are going to be limited more and more as basketball is played. There are no back to the basket players in the NBA. I mean, you think about the teams that are winning. Think about the teams that win the best. The days of the back-to-back players, there's been all sorts of articles written here lately, especially ESPN wrote an article about it last year before the NBA draft that says those guys aren't high priorities anymore. It's the guys that can pass, dribble, and shoot.
But you've got one certainly that can play back to the basket.
Yeah, and I tell you this, Todd, I still think at college at this level, and I come from a program, and I went to a school that had a program that we've always played with a back-to-basket player, and we've always had success. And And we've got a guy we feel like in our games in which we're 7-0, KP's shooting around almost 70%, .696, I think. And there's a great disparity. The one thing that we figured out, we think turnovers are a huge part of this deal for us right now. We average 19 assists in our wins. We average 10 assists in our losses. We've played very selfish in our 6 losses.
Speaking of turnovers, teams are scouting Cook to get in front of him and trying to take a charge. When do you get to the point where he's got to change how he plays, or he's got to be an aggressive player?
He has. He's changed. Aaron's looking to score more than pass. When Aaron goes back to look to pass more than score, Aaron's going to score more points and we're going to get more assists. It's amazing how that works. We just tell our guards that all the time. Our big emphasis all over Christmas break, if the ball is in your hands, go find somebody a great shot.
Missouri State's shooting at a high percentage, but they draw a lot of free throw attempts. Are they a more driving team than a three-point shooting team?
You know what, Todd? I think they're just good offensively. I mean, they're scoring 78 points a game. They just got a game, and I realize who they played, but they scored 110. The thing that scares me about these guys is that all 5 guys on the floor can score in certain way. And the 2 leading shot attempts and the 2 scorers are coming off the bench. I mean, it's really unique. And until you told us last night, we expected Obadiah to play because he was in the stands the other night at the game, but it looks like he's not going to play against us. So Obadiah makes him a completely different team defensively.
What kind of team does Webster make him with the way he plays?
Have you guys ever seen anything like it? His stats? I mean, it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
His schedule's a little bit of that,
well,
but also.
That. But I mean, here's 2 games in a row. He's had 23 turnovers or 23 assists, no turnovers. Yeah. 15-0, 8-0 in the last 2 games. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, he was 69-17 going into the game against Pine Bluff. He is now 78-17. I mean, he has 78 assists. He has 40. Let me get this right. He has 34 more assists than anybody on our team. That's impressive. I mean, that's really impressive. He reminds me of Adam Emenicker from Drake. He reminds me. He is a pass-oriented, get everybody great shots, and he had his first 2 threes in the last game. He had made a 3 all year, and then he just went 2 for 2 against Pine Bluff. Or Woods. I'm sorry, William Woods.
You talked about it just now, but Obadiah being out, how does that affect the game plan?
Well, it affects because we've prepared for him all along. We just have. De Silva's their best player, leading rebounder, leading scorer, but now there's a big difference between Obadiah and the Polish kid, Wojcik. The Wojcik kid steps out on the perimeter. I think for us, I mean, we don't shy away from attacking the basket even when Obadiah's in there, but they certainly don't have a shot blocker on the floor like they have with Obadiah because he certainly draws a lot of attention.
How critical is it for you to get off to a good start, especially at home?
And we always say that. Loyola lost their first game last year in conference play, but I always think it's great to get off to start. Guys, I've always felt like this. If you're going to be in the hunt for a conference championship, you can't lose home games. You just can't. You got to find a way to win home games and do your best. I will say this. I think you'll see a conference race that's tighter than it's ever been since 2006. I think this will be the tightest race we've seen in 12 years, 13 years. I really believe that.
With Dana Ford taking over the Bears, what difference do you see in them? What does he bring to them?
Well, I think they're much more offensive than what they have been in the past. Their three-point percentage has gone way up. Instead of last in the league, they're now in the mid-range. They're in the 5 and 6 part. All 5 moving parts can score on the floor at the same time, and they're just they look like they're really really a good offensive team.
Has their style of offense changed with the new coach? I mean, is it completely different or similar? Or
I think, Marv, they run different sets, but it's still, if Krecklow gets a shot, he's going to shoot a 3. Yeah. The biggest difference is they've got 5s now that can slip out there behind the arc and make 3s. I think De Silva's a good player. I mean, he's since November 24th, he's been one of the hottest players in the league, and he's unique. He's springy. He's a lot like the kid they had last year. He's very similar, and he's playing in the pros now.
I don't know if he's a graduate transfer or not, Barry, but why are those players so hard to find?
There's two graduate transfers, Webster and him. You know, I don't think it's so hard to find, Todd. It's always comes down to timing. You know, do guys have scholarships? Think about us with Marcus. We didn't get Marcus till August. Timing was we had a scholarship. Transfers now.
He was a sit-out, though, not a graduate transfer.
Yeah, and you know, Dana and his staff did a great job when he first got the job. I mean, they did a great job. But I go back, you have to have scholarships available. And very rarely do you find teams like we've held on a scholarship for the last 2 years to the last moment that we could to see if we could get a transfer or a graduate transfer. It's hard to get graduate transfers at the mid-major. Most of those guys go to the high major. And give credit to Dana and them, they did a good job.
When you have such a long break and the way you went into the Christmas break, you mentioned how hard you practiced. I guess what did you see out of your guys over that time period?
Well, I think the message that we wanted to send is it's not okay to get beat. I mean, lose basketball games. And, you know, you're sitting there at 7-3 and you end up 7-6. And we lost 3 games in a row. Now, granted, we thought we played really good competition, but our practices weren't we weren't having apple juice and cupcakes. I mean, we were getting after it, and there weren't a lot of chippy days. I mean, we made sure that the message was sent on both sides through players to coach, coach to players, that what has just happened in the prior 3 games was unacceptable. So it'll be interesting to see how we come back and how we focus tomorrow night.
Will Fletcher be back for conference play tomorrow?
I'm going to stick with what I've said all along, guys. When he runs out on the floor, you guys will see him play.
Can you at least tell us, will he be back this season?
Yeah, I'll answer that question. It's a process, but I am confident that he'll play for us this year. I'm confident he'll get to play. But I can definitely say that. He will be back this season.
Have you – Cook has been stymied by, I guess, extra pressure now. Is it just in his head, or is it something you do as a coach to get him open more?
I'm going to go back. Aaron's his worst own enemy. I'm going to go back to what what I told Todd a while ago. When Aaron looks to pass and not to score, Aaron Cook's a really good player. When Aaron Cook worries about how he's guarding his man defensively, I watched Aaron Cook as a freshman dismantle a Drake team here on this home floor one night all by himself. We won the ball game basically because of Aaron Cook as a freshman and how he guarded the ball. I think you'll see the old Aaron Cook tomorrow night. I'll be surprised if you don't.
Is everybody else healthy?
Well, other than Teague. Yeah, everybody else is healthy. Yeah, Teague is not. I mean, we've had another bug go through our team, but I think we're okay there. But Teague is the one we got to get back with his ankle and
Thanks,
stuff.
Coach.
All right, guys. Happy New Year to all of you guys.
You too.